So how do ordinary people fight back? How do you roll back this kind of corporate domination that you've been talking about?
Well, one, of course, you learn from Cairo, Egypt. You learn from Madison, Wisconsin, from Indianapolis, Indiana, from Columbus, Ohio. You finally reach the point where you raise your voice, you allow those voices to come together, you organize and mobilize and say, we are tired of the Wall Street oligarchs and the corporate elites having such a disproportionate amount of influence and power, and the only way we can deal with organized greed at the top is organized people power below. And that organized people power below has been in some ways channeled into Obama campaign, Obama symbolic, cosmetic, cathartic expression, rather than serious concern with trade unions who need to be defended, teachers unions that need to be defended, policies in which poor people are able to gain access to education, quality housing, quality jobs. We're at the very, very beginning. We in the United States, we are learning from our brothers and sisters in North Africa and the Middle East some very deep democratic lessons about courage, about vision, about organizing, mobilizing, service, and sacrifice.
Okay, here's another email that we received. This one's from Barik Al-Bakai. He writes from New Jersey here in the United States. And he wants to know, what can President Obama do to regain the popular enthusiasm he had at the time of his inauguration?
I think people would rather see sermons than hear sermons. He's got to, by example, show that he is a fighter for poor and working people. But the problem is very much like the health care debate, where it was very clear that they met with the pharmaceutical and the private insurance companies. They made a deal, so it ends up a major giveaway for profits for both pharmaceutical and private insurance companies, and at the same time does extend, no doubt, coverage, but is still a market-driven project, and therefore it still will backfire. 20 million or more will still not have access to it, but it's not going to be able to satisfy the needs. What it was clear he did not fight. As they say on the street, he punts on the first down rather than the fourth down. He doesn't have the kind of spine and backbone like Lincoln, like FDR, like LBJ, to fight for these policies having to do with, it could be a public option, it could even be single payer, at the level of trying to convince the American people why these policies are the best for the nation by focusing on poor and working people. He doesn't have that kind of fighting temperament, it seems. And it's very sad that that's the case, because we find ourselves sinking deeper and deeper in a hole when you look at these levels of unemployment and underemployment. No serious talk about jobs. As you know, the last State of the Union, there was no reference to poor people or poverty. The first time a State of the Union was even ever presented or written since 1948 with no reference to poor people. How could that be when he's got Martin Luther King Jr.'s bust staring at him every morning saying, I died resisting American imperialism in Vietnam because I love Vietnamese babies and peoples as well as Americans. I died because I was trying to organize poor people, sanitation workers in Memphis. I died facing a vicious white supremacist Jim Crow system where the government itself was following me every day and knew I would be shot. That's the Martin Luther King Jr. who's staring every day in the Oval Office and saying, get out of that golden cage, get out of that sunlit prison, connect with the working people and poor people out there. Why are you so much in the pocket of the Wall Street oligarchs and the corporate plutocrats? Don't use my legacy in this way. Don't abuse my legacy in this way.
But if you look at the manner in which he has been ruling